So you call him before your Opry debut.
Yeah.
Why?
He's an Opry staple, and I just called him and said, "Hey, man, I want some advice."
Do you and Zach Top ever hang out? Or
Yeah, I was just down in Fort Worth. I went back home. I was off this past weekend. It worked out perfectly because Zach was playing first time at Billy Bob's.
When you made your Opry debut, did you call Bill Anderson for advice?
Yes, I did.
Like, right? Why
Yep.
Bill? Because why do you call Bill?
Well, so I write for Sony Music Publishing.
Yeah.
And Bill Anderson's been a staple there for a long time. And I've gotten to write with Bill and become friends with him, and it's so cool because I revere Bill so much. I mean, he's one of the last true great songwriters in this town, I think. From that generation
Yeah.
of songwriters where everybody wrote everything by themselves. They didn't know what co-writing was. Vince Gill was actually the one who got Bill Anderson into co-writing. He had never really co-written, and they wrote Which Bridge to Cross, Which Bridge to Burn together. And because there were songs, and I asked Bill all the time about like writing with, because there's some, like he's a co-writer on some stuff with When Two Worlds Collide with Roger Miller. And he's like, there was no co-writing with Roger Miller. You know, he's like, you kind of would, we'd bounce stuff off each other and eventually have a song, but it wasn't really co-writing, you know?
Yeah.
It wasn't like you show up at 10 o'clock with another guy and, write.
Do you feel like when you get in the room with Bill, though, to write, you could write a hit with him? Do you feel that way?
I feel that way, and I want to.
Yeah.
I want Bill Anderson to have it, because Bill's had a hit in like every decade since like the 60s.
Yeah.
He wrote City Lights when he was like 19 or something like that. For
and
Ray
Whiskey
Price.
Lullaby for
Whiskey
Brad.
Lullaby, and he's had all the way through,
Yeah.
So I really want Bill Anderson to be on the top of the charts. That's one of my goals.
So you call him before your Opry debut.
Yeah.
Why? Because you want his advice, or why do you call him?
He's an Opry staple, and I just called him and said, "Hey, man, I want some advice." And I'm glad he called me back, and I'm glad I missed it because he left me a great voicemail. A very nice voice, and I have that voicemail, and I have it like forever now. And he's like, I don't really have any good advice, but I'll tell you Minnie Pearl used to tell everybody. It's like, you just go out there and love them, and they'll love you right back, And that was great, man.
Is that good advice?
It's good advice, because if you go, Opry's such a place too. If you go out there with a lot of love, I think the crowd responds to it no matter what it is,
Yeah.
So that was some great advice, and he got to come up. I think this was my 4th or 5th time playing the Opry here pretty recently, and I was trying to figure out what to do, and I finally had Bill Anderson was on the bill that night, and I was like, great. And so I called Bill and I go, "Hey man, you want to do a song that we wrote?" And so we did a song just acoustically. It was a song that we wrote called Willie, Waylon, and Whiskey, and I got to bring him out, on the last verse, and he sang it, and it was a special moment. It was my first like legitimate Opry moment.
Yeah.
Where
that sounds like a great song. Is that out? That song out, right?
What's that? Oh, Willie, Waylon, Whiskey? No. I haven't recorded it.
I want to hear that.
Yeah, it's great, man. And he brought in the great thing about Bill, a guy that's been doing it forever. A lot of times with those more veteran writers, they've written everything. They've spent years and years and years constantly coming up with ideas. The tap is usually empty on song ideas for those guys, and they rely on younger writers to come in and bring in ideas. Thing with Bill, though, he always comes in with ideas. He's got his notebook. He wakes up every morning and he wants to write a song, and he comes up with ideas. And it's so inspiring to see guys like that, because still coming in and being so passionate about it, and it makes you feel good.
Do you and other I feel like there's this rise of I don't know what you would call it, neo-traditionalism, country or whatever. Do you and Zach Top ever hang out?
Yeah, I was just down in Fort Worth. I went back home. I was off this past weekend, and it worked out perfectly because Zach was playing first time at Billy Bob's.
Really?
My favorite venue in the world. And so I called up Zach. I was like, "Man, I'm coming to Billy Bob's." He's like, "You want to do a song?" I'm like, "Yeah, come on."
You guys are friends.
Yeah. And I've been a fan of Zach's for a long time.
Yeah.
And met him years ago, just kind of in the circuit of things, and I've just been a fan of his singing and his playing, and I just think he's great. It was just great. It's such a cool time to be a part of this too, because there's so many young artists out there that I'm genuinely a fan of, and it's so cool to be kind of in the mix and be able to call and be friends with, Jake Worthington, Emily Ann Roberts, and a lot of these guys and girls who are just so good. I think and make timeless music. It's just, there's a lot of great young kind of more traditional country talent out there, which is great.
Good time to be in country music,
Great time.
right?
And Zach's killing it.
He's killing it, right?
He's absolutely killing it. And it's great to see because, I talk to Jake Worthington about this all the time. Every time I say it, it's like any success that any of us have in like the kind of more traditional space is good for all of us, because it shows the industry that people want that. Because I think, maybe 15 years ago, even 10 years ago or so, you probably would have heard, people are starting the traditional thing. It's just not working, But I feel like now I don't hear that, because people want it.
Yeah.
90s country's huge. All the way older country's huge.
What do you think is the thing that's going to take your career to the next step, whatever that is? Is it going to be a massive radio song? Is it going to be like a viral moment? Is it going to be something else? Like,
I think you need all the above nowadays to really make it. You need to have some viral moments. You need to have a big radio song. It definitely helps. I think above all, just for me, it's like for somebody like me, every artist is different. Every artist kind of makes songs that can be successful for different reasons, right? And for me, it's like I just look up to the career of George Strait, and throughout his entire career, he's always had great songs and consistently great songs. And that's kind of where I just want to make a career out of it and do it as long as possible. And I think finding great songs too, and making sure you incorporate the writing community in Nashville around you, which George always did. He's always a Texas guy, but he cut his records in Nashville. Always had a great studio band, great producer, great songs.